Hi everyone, welcome back to the Thrifty Diva. So I kind of wanted to start a little thing, kind of like a little mini chat session. I watch a lot of these videos and they've really helped me, and I'm hoping my story can help you. So today I'm talking about anxiety, something I've probably suffered with my whole life. And there may be tears in this video because it's very emotional for me to talk about, but we will get through it together. So as I said, I cannot remember a time where I haven't been anxious. I remember my earliest memories where I lived as a little girl, as a little mini Thrifty Diva. I lived where my bedroom faced my classroom. So on an angle, like when I went to bed at night, I could kind of see into my classroom. I lived across the street from my school. And I remember it was like 8 o'clock at night because, you know, I was little me going to bed. And I could see that the lights were on in my classroom. And I remember thinking the teacher is at school because I've done something bad. And I used to stay up and I used to stare and say, oh my god, that's why the lights are on. I've done something bad and the teacher's at school and I'm going to be punished tomorrow. And now, having worked in a school and being years old, I know that it was the janitor's cleaning. The teacher wasn't there. Teacher was long gone by then. And it was the janitor's cleaning, the night janitor's cleaning the classroom. It had nothing to do with me. So that is my first memory of anxiety. I was probably about 6 or 7 years old, and I remember being 8, 9 years old, and my stepfather at the time telling me that tornadoes were coming, and making me watch earthquake movies and things like that, and staying up at night crying because I was afraid that tornadoes were going to come, earthquakes, and things like that. He used to actually have fun terrorizing me and put on the Weather Network, and I couldn't read English yet. I was only like 7 or 8. I think I only learned English when I was like, learning to read English when I was like 9 or 10. And he would say, oh, it says there's a tornado coming, and it wasn't true. But it would get me so anxious and I would cry because I was so scared. So those are like my first memories of having anxiety. And I struggled on and off with anxiety through school. Not realizing I thought it was normal to worry as much as I did. I worried constantly. I worried I was going to get in trouble. I worried that, you know, my mother was sick, my sisters were sick. Like, I constantly worried. Like, my grandmother being sick, I just constantly worried about everything. I worried that, you know, my teacher was going to get me in trouble, and I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just constantly worried. And then, I guess, I started having panic attacks when I was 14 or 15, but I didn't realize I was having panic attacks. I just thought I had asthma and I was having trouble breathing and feeling dizzy, and I just thought it's like asthma or something. Like, I didn't understand why I couldn't breathe. That lasted probably about 5 or 6 months, and I didn't say anything because I thought it was just me being, I don't know, dramatic. And it went away for a while. Then when I turned 20, I went to college. I went to college when I was like 18, 19. And then I graduated. And I kind of had a couple anxiety attacks then too. But again, not realizing they were anxiety attacks. And then I went back to school to get another degree. And my first couple weeks at school, I started feeling very lightheaded and dizzy. And I thought I was going to pass out. And I was like, literally thought I was going to die. And I actually heard a voice telling me that I was going to die. And I thought, oh my god, like, it's because I wore a sweater and I didn't really eat well. And, you know, I just had low blood sugar. I didn't know I was a diabetic by this point either, which probably didn't help things. And then after that, this is like kind of the chicken and the egg syndrome. I don't know if I actually had a panic attack, or because I didn't know I was a type 1 diabetic at the time, I had low blood sugar, which caused my panic attacks. So I'm still not sure, but after that, life was never the same again. I was constantly having panic attacks, and I realized after then that I was having panic attacks. I remember that happened on a Thursday, and I called my grandmother. I said, you need to come get me. I feel dizzy. I don't feel well. And she said the same thing. Oh, you probably have the flu, or, you know, you just didn't eat enough, because I think I had a cup of coffee that morning. I probably didn't eat. I never used to eat breakfast. And I had a big sweater on, and it was still kind of warm, and I'd walked around, and we kind of just chalked it at that, and that was it. And I remember that Sunday because this is like 10 years ago. I'm dating myself. It was the end of Canadian Idol, And I was watching and I started having a panic attack, which it's like the same symptoms I had had that Thursday. Now I realized it was a panic attack. And I remember telling my sister, get me a banana, get me this, get me that. And she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing, I'm just really hungry. And pacing around, having these feelings of intense doom and thinking I was going to die or pass out. It probably lasted 3 hours. And I was like, okay, this is not normal twice. Like, so I went to see my doctor. My doctor said, sounds like you have high blood pressure. Or low blood, I think it was low blood pressure. Because my cheeks get really red, which they do now. Just when I get warm, I get red. He's like, we'll send you for like a battery of tests. So they sent me for a battery of tests. And then they said, okay, well, your blood sugar is really low. We think you're diabetic. So they sent me for a blood glucose test, which during the blood glucose test, I had an anxiety attack, which was fantastic. I was shaking and people were looking at me, and I left because you were allowed to leave. You have to stay. Well, you can. She let me leave anyways. I think she knew it was like cuckoo for Cuckoo Puffs. She let me leave. I was like shaking. My mom was like, what's your problem? I'm like, nothing. I'm fine. And then it came back that I was diabetic. So that kind of started the slippery slope of where I was constantly worried that my blood sugar was going low. And it kind of validated my anxiety attacks. Oh, you know what? I wasn't crazy. Something was wrong with me. It was low blood sugar, which really it wasn't. It wasn't. It was not at all. It was, panic attacks. So, dealing with my diabetes was terrible. I did not deal with it. I was a bad diabetic. And kind of just brushed it aside and whatever. But continued to have panic attacks. And I didn't tell anybody I was having panic attacks. I think I told one person. And they kind of, back then, like we're talking 10 years ago, we didn't have all these mental health kind of, that you see the commercials and stuff like that. People weren't really talking about it. And I think she kind of like thought I was crazy, which, whatever, we're no longer friends. For good reason, but yeah, like I didn't tell anybody. It was like this deep, dark, dirty secret that I was having panic attacks. I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my sisters. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell boyfriends I was with at the time. Like, nobody knew I was having these panic attacks. And like, I can remember everything would be fine. We went out for dinner, and this must have been before 2008, because maybe 2007. I went out for dinner and I came home, and I remember Barack Obama was on TV, and I said, I think he's going to be president. And then, we're just talking like random, and all of a sudden I started getting dizzy and I couldn't breathe. And it's like, I can't describe the feeling. It's this intense feeling like you have to run. You have to get away. And I ran to my bedroom and I had a panic attack. Like I lived like this probably for 5-6 years, like these random panic attacks. I couldn't go to the mall. And you guys know me, you watch my channel. I love going to the mall now. But for 5-6 years, I couldn't go to the mall. I'd have a panic attack. It was constant, like, oh my god, like, I can't. I wouldn't go certain places because I would have a panic attack. Social situations, large crowds, concerts. I remember going to Kings of Leon, my favorite band. To this day, they are still my favorite band. I love them, which should have been one of the best experiences of my life. I constantly worried that I was going to have a panic attack while I was at the concert, and I kick myself now because I could have enjoyed that. Had I gotten help, I could have enjoyed the concert so much. Twice I saw them, and twice I got worried I was going to have a panic attack. So this probably went on for at least 6-7 years. Panic attacks. Even on my wedding day, I had a panic attack, which, again, like, I've missed out on so much. Like, on my wedding day, I had a panic attack and called my husband crying and saying, I'm canceling the wedding, that's it. Obviously, it was a very stressful time. Like, I've missed out on so much. I was so hesitant to take medication because I was afraid of the side effects of the medication. If you read, like, anti-anxiety medication, the bottle, like, says, may cause dizziness, may cause drowsiness, may cause this, and it's like, the dizziness was my worst fear because I hated the feeling I got when I took a panic attack. It was that dizziness, and it's like, no, I don't want to take the pills. I don't want to take them. I don't want to take them. So I was getting better. Like, I stopped getting so many panic attacks. I get them kind of on and off, maybe 5-6 times a year, depending on the situation. And I'd have mini ones all the time, but I could handle those. It's the big ones I couldn't handle, but I was surviving. I wasn't living, I was surviving. And then this year, at Christmas time. Now, I'd seen my doctor the month before, and my husband's like, you need to get on anti-anxiety medication. He's like, at least get the prescription. And it's there. And it's okay. So I got the prescription. And I accidentally brought the wrong meds with me, which I could have freaking killed myself probably, but thank God it was like done safely. I took the wrong pills with me when we went away for Christmas, and I thought I was taking a pill I take for my diabetes, to help with a symptom for my diabetes. And I was at Walmart with my mom, or my mother-in-law, and my jaw started chattering. I was like, oh my God, like this feels like not right. So when I got home, or to my in-laws, to my parents' house, I went downstairs and I saw that instead of taking my medication, my normal medication that I took for my diabetes, I was taking my anti-anxiety meds. I was taking quadruple the dose of my anti-anxiety meds, and luckily I'm on Citrapan, and you cannot overdose on that. You can't. You can actually swallow the whole bottle and you'd be fine. You'd probably have a nice nap, but like you can't overdose. And I was like, oh my God, I've accidentally been taking for the past 4 days my anti-anxiety medication, taking it quadruple, and there's no side effects. So I decided after that, okay, like you've been taking it for 4 days and there's no side effects. This has happened for a reason. Let's continue. So I continued with the proper dose, and that was December, January, March, April, May, June, 5 months ago. And these have been, even though like I got laid off from my job and stuff like that, but they've been the best 5 months of my life. I have changed so much for the better. I'm doing things I never thought I would do. We've had my guinea pig for 2.5 years almost. I was never able to take her out of her cage. I'd freak out. I wasn't able to take her out of her cage. I was only able to hold her with a blanket. And then one day I just kind of went to her and I said, Betty, you're coming with me. And I took her. And my husband almost passed out. He's like, oh my God, after 2 years of me telling you take her, I was so afraid to take her. And now, I'm sure you've seen it on my vlogs, I take that pig and I cuddle her, I kiss her, I bring her everywhere with me. Like, I missed out on those first 2 years with my guinea pig because I was too afraid to take her out. And the moment the pills kicked in, the anxiety kind of went away. I went to the dentist. I had a cracked tooth. My front tooth was cracked. If you look at my really, really early videos, I stopped doing videos because I was so self-conscious that my front tooth was cracked. And I wouldn't do videos. I went my wedding day with it, like it wasn't as big then, but I had a little crack in my tooth. And after I started taking the pills, I sat for 3 root canals in the dentist chair with no oxygen, no nothing. And before that, I had tried to go to the dentist and I'd have major panic attacks to the point where I would throw up at the dentist office. And then I booked my own appointment after I went on the medication and walked in by myself, and they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And then we did it, and then I had one more root canal to go for, and she said, well, I've got an opening next week. I'm like, let's get her done, let's do it. And then I went for a teeth cleaning, which hadn't been for 8 years, and then I booked another one. I'm actually going, I think it's next week I'm going again. I don't mind anymore. Like, I go see my doctor and he's like, what? Like, you're here, you're not like kicking and screaming that you have to come see me. And I'm like, no, like, I don't mind. I drive. I used to be so afraid to drive. Now I'm driving everywhere. Like, I would not drive in Ottawa, which is where we live. I would not drive there. And now I'm like driving all over the place. I'm driving the highways. I'm driving the Queensway. I'm driving everywhere. I've got my life back. And I feel like the past 6-7 years have been wasted almost. But I mean, everything happens for a reason. But like, I'm doing things I never thought. Like, I have a talk with my husband tonight, and I'm going to go for my real estate license. Like, something I've been dreaming about since I was 15 years old. I'm not scared anymore. I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I feel like I can take over the world. Like, I'm on YouTube again. The reason I'm on YouTube again is because of this medication. Like, it's changed my life, and I was so against medication. I'm going to do it naturally, and you know what? Doing it naturally works for some people, and power to them. If you can find a natural way to combat your anxiety, go for it, because not every solution is good for everybody. Fairness is meeting an individual's needs is one of my favorite sayings, and I think it's not fair to say this is what works. You know, you need to be on medication, or you need to do yoga, or you need to cut this out of your diet and it'll take away your anxiety. I think it doesn't work for everybody. What works for me is the Citrapan. I call it my miracle pills. I call it my crazy pills. I told the doctor, I'm like, up my dosage because I like this stuff. I can't describe it. Like, even when I was laid off last month or the month before, for like a day, it was the worst day of my life. And then it's like, okay, like, I'm okay. I can deal with this. Had I lost my job or been laid off and not been on these pills, I'd probably be in bed right now crying, and having panic attacks and worrying about everything. But instead, I went to the job center, and that day, I got another job. So it's temporary, but that's okay. Like, you know, like it's so much has changed. So basically, I've done this video because I wish there was YouTube 10-15 years ago when I started having my anxiety, because I wish there was someone like me who's gone through it and is now on the other side to sit there and say it's gonna be okay no matter how bad it gets, because I've lived through some very, very, very dark times. Very dark times when I was younger, and I've kind of hinted at it in my earlier in this video with a certain individual. Very dark times, and I'm reminded of that every day. I get up every day. Certain times during the day, I'll get a flashback of the terrible things that have happened to me, and I think that's why I had the panic attacks and the anxiety. Was my body's way of dealing with that. And what happened to me wasn't my fault. I have nothing to be ashamed about of how I was treated and what was done to me, but my body and my brain experienced such trauma that I don't think I would have been able to recover from it on my own. And I think the medication has really started the healing process. It's not healed me completely, but it's definitely opened me up to start healing. And like I said, I hardly get anxious anymore. I can't even describe how amazing I feel. I just feel on top of the world. So that's just my little anxiety story. I just wanted to do a video and kind of, I don't know, like I said, I wish there would have been YouTube when I was 14, 15 years old and someone there to tell me, you know what, it's okay to be scared, but you have to take the steps to take care of yourself. So that's it. I'm going to stop talking now. I didn't cry, which is awesome. I'm telling you, these pills. No, just kidding. I've cried enough this week. I had a dear friend pass away, and I've cried enough tears. So that is my video. I know it's not very like, oh, it's a haul or whatever, but I wanted to do something. I wanted to contribute. I know there's like so many videos on anxiety, but I wanted to contribute my voice. If you have any questions, any concerns you would like to chat, leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. PM me, private message me, whatever. I'm happy to speak to anybody. I've been there. It gets better. It gets so much better. So much better. And if you're, 15, 16 years old, having these panic attacks, you're in school, things suck, it gets better. It gets so much better. I can't even, looking back to when this all started, if you had told me that I would be sitting in front of a camera talking to, well, I have the opportunity to talk to millions of people, not millions of people will be watching this video, and I would be married, owned a house, driving, working, like having the life that I have now, like designer purses, and because when I was young, we couldn't afford much, and I dreamt that I would be able to go to a store and buy a designer purse. I've done that many times. Like everything I've wanted and more has come true, so it can happen. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. That's enough now. Shut up. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like to hear more about my story, some more inspirational videos, please don't hesitate to comment down below. It's been a pleasure. We will see you in my next one. Bye.